go get that stitched. She ended up getting home and going to the doctor and ended up with stitches. So, but luckily we did have the kit there at least. But yeah, she was bleeding inside the glove too, even after we put the bandages and everything on there.
Oof, gosh.
But it is definitely, yeah, you never know when you're going to, like what you did with your shin in the glass or glass in the, oh gosh, yes, dumps. I've sliced my arm before. I did manage, was it you that had told me about those cut-proof arms? Yes. I found one of mine. I was cleaning out some stuff the other day, and I'm like, man, I need to put that in a special bag just for dump digging because Amanda had told me about these things that you can buy, and you can get them on Amazon, just like the cut-proof gloves, and they're made out of that same material, and they're these
arm
cuffs. Arm cuffs, and it goes over your whole arm. And then you can just slide your glove inside that. That way you can still take your glove off and on if you need to. Mm-hmm. And I remember using that. And the only thing that I will say that's bad about those is in the summertime.
Yes.
And, where I live is Texas, so you're going to burn up. But in the wintertime, those are fantastic.
Yeah. The cut proof, I do have to say they are not puncture proof.
No, they are not.
They are cut proof, like if it's sideways slicing, but if you're going to reach in, the stabby things can poke right through that.
Yes, they can.
I did learn that the hard way. I was like, I thought these are supposed to be cut proof.
Right.
Yeah, those gloves, I think, didn't even last me through, my brother got some for me for my birthday, and it was multiple different sets of different tiered or different strength cut-proof gloves, and I was like, all right, well, we'll try this one first, the least cut. Yeah, those made it one hunt. That was it, and they had holes in them, and I'm like, yeah, should probably do some reviews on these, all right, these ones are junk.
So true.
Don't spend, $25 on this pair of gloves. Just, don't do it. And
right.
But
I've gone through so many gloves. I cannot tell you how many gloves I've gone through with river hunting. When I did a lot of river hunting and the hill country, and I would go through a pair every time I went out because I would literally wear, holes in the fingers. And I would it didn't matter whether I was buying cheap or expensive. I have done it all. But I will say those cut proof, they lasted me, quite a bit. But if you've ever watched Aqua Chiggers, I remember when I first learned about the cut proof, he was wearing, I think, because Aqua Chigger digs like I do in the river because of where I dig in rivers. Now, not all rivers are like that. There are some rivers, you can use scoops, but the rivers that I dig in, you can't use a scoop. So you have to dig with your hand or a small little trowel, but most of the time you can't dig with even a trowel because a lot of it is just bedrock. So you're just digging in the little cracks and stuff, so you need little tools to pull things out of the cracks. But sometimes you're just moving rock, and you're scraping, your fingertips along the bottom. So I just would wear a hole in the bottom, and then I would just have to, and usually it was my left hand because the right hand I'm using for my metal detector or whatever. And so I would have all these right-hand gloves left that were still decent, but no left-hand gloves because they would all have holes in them.
That's
I will say
funny.
I do love my Garrett gloves, though, for metal detecting because my Garrett gloves, they get dirty. I throw them in the wash. They wash great, and then they look brand new again. So I have to say, but I only use those for metal detecting. I don't use them for, I have used them for dump digging, but I prefer to use, the more either something like the cut proof or the ones with the rubber on the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
Yep, I do. They're all going back and forth on safety. Safety.
Yeah.
And how many gloves get lost. And yes, I
Oh,
realized
gosh.
I couldn't find my gloves from the last 2 times ago or 3 times ago. And as I was walking to the field, I'm on the path and I'm like, oh, look, here's one of my gloves. I got like 50 more feet or 100 more feet. I'm like, oh, look, another one of my gloves. And they'd been, the tractors have gone over them. The animals have walked over them. They'd been out in the rain. I'm like, oh,
Right.
bummer.
Oh, gloves. I have
Yep.
lost so many gloves. What about hand diggers? Are you good at always, returning them to your sheath? Pretty
Yep.
good.
Yeah. Those, my hand lash, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just that one pinpointer that I
It
know
eluded you.
that
You still hadn't found it.
No, I know that the muffler caught it when I took it off the side, and it must have hit it, and I don't know, it's gone. It's not coming back. But thankfully,
Wow.
I had my my pink TRX. So
Yeah.
I do have a backup. I'm getting used to it again because I had to change the settings all around, and it was basically brand new, and I hadn't used it. So thankfully, I had a backup. So I'm using that, and I'm keeping an eye out for now another backup.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Luckily, knock on wood for me, I've never lost a pinpointer. But I don't think I've ever even lost a hand digger either. Recently, though, I will say I asked my brother. My brother saw my hand diggers in my relic room the other day, 2 of my other extras. And he said, do you want me to sharpen those for you? And I'm like, oh, yes, please. And he did. He sharpened 2 of them, and they are super sharp. So definitely want even to wear your gloves when you're digging with those, because you wouldn't want to cut yourself, because he sharpened it super sharp. My little Garrett hand trowel, and then I had another one that someone had given me, and it had gotten real rusty, and boy, he sharpened it really nice. But anyway, do you ever sharpen any of yours?
I haven't. I think we did a while back, but my hand lash is still it's still sharp. Actually, I went to put it back in the lash, and I was getting sloppy because it was near the end of the dig, and ran my finger over the side of it, and I'm like, I'm like, that thing's still sharp. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'll get it sharpened anytime soon, but yeah, eventually I might do my my digger, my shovel.
Right.
Especially that
I think
field
it's time
season.
for my shovel to be sharpened. Yeah, again. I will ask you this. So how about like your sheath for your hand digger, for your hand lash? Do you find that most of the ones that come with it, this is all brands I've found, that the little sheath just tends to fray and wear out. You get holes in them. Like my Garrett hand digger was so sharp when I first got it that my sheath on the bottom had literally just cut a hole in it because it was so sharp.
Usually the ones that come with it, yes, I noticed the same thing. You end up ripping them, it ends up cutting right through them. But my White's pouch has a built-in hand lash, and I I have never put a hole in it in any of the, I mean,
that's good.
the hole that usually ends up happening is the mesh at the bottom of the pouch ends up getting torn up
Right.
so bad that you have a giant hole in the bottom of the pouch. That I've saved
Right.
them all because I know how to sew, but I need to get like a mesh and trying to find a mesh that will work
Extra mesh.
to put
Okay,
in the
gotcha.
bottom. Yeah, so I've saved them, but yeah, it's got a built-in pin pointer and a built-in hand lash on both sides of the pouch.
Oh, cool. Cool. Very cool. Well, I've thought about getting a custom made leather one, and then I would
Yeah.
never have to worry about that again. And I know
Jon,
they've got the leather pouches with the pinpointer thing on it, as well as the sheath thing, but I just can't decide what route. What were you going to say? Sorry about John.
no. He's got the leather. Um,
The leather one.
yep, it looks great. I think I got it from, I think Brad Martin makes them, and I think that's who I ended up getting it from.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I remember Brad was making some, and then there's a local guy here that I went in to see about, me and my snake boots and my leather boots. I love to wear my boots when I'm out metal detecting, especially around here in Texas, not only because of the snakes, but just the brush and the thorns and all of that. But one of my zippers broke on my boots, so I took it into the local leather shop to see if he could fix it. He couldn't, and but we ended up striking up a conversation, and he gave me a book on Civil War, some stuff that I started reading it. I haven't finished it yet. Very fascinating. But anyway, I told him I would come back in. I may just go local and see if he'd make me a lash. For my Garrett hand digger, since my brother just sharpened it for me, I may get a custom one.
That's
and
cool.
just see if he can do my GJ logo on there or something.
Yeah, that would be neat.
That would be cool.
That would. Now I know that the metal detecting season is really upon all of us, but I know, another type of treasure that I think I saw quite a few posts when I signed on today into Facebook. The yard sales are going full strong.
Oh, yes, they are. I passed, I don't know how many yard sales today, and I was like, oh my gosh. This weekend, that I wish I would have had time to go hit some of those. We need to have someone on that does a lot of picking from garage sales as treasure.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I used to have my resale shop, that's how I got a lot of stuff for resale, was through garage sales. Oh, speaking of, I did that this weekend. We were in Austin area, and so we drove over and took my boys while I was there visiting them. They had never been to the Goodwill bins. And some of you may be familiar with the Goodwill bins, but these giant bins that they just throw all this stuff in, and they push them in, and people will rush over. I don't get in all that crowd, but anyway, it is a lot of fun, and you can find all kinds of treasures. I know Zola had found a retired James Avery bracelet that ended up being worth about $300. And I had told her, check the books, check the Bibles, check the books, check the Bibles. And sure enough, one day she's over there, and out she opens up a book, and out pops this envelope with $300 cash in it. So, but anyway, long story short here, my youngest son, got to talking to one of the local guys over there looking through the books, and what he said, he finds autograph books sometimes. And he found an autograph book from Obama, and I think there was another president, and he ended up selling these online for a lot of money. But some other autograph books that turned out to be very profitable for him. But he was saying too, he found like $150, and I can't remember if it was a Bible or some book. So
that's cool.
That was really cool.